I wanted to start actually with the big news of the last 24 hours, slightly away from the playing field. And that is that a date has been set for just under 12 months for Manchester City to face their trial, their hearing, I suppose, for the financial doping allegations, the cheating allegations. They're saying that the results, though, of this hearing will not come until the end of the 2025 season. Like, what is your take on that from an outsider's point of view?
First of all, I'm glad the trial date. It's good that it's next season because Loki, I thought it was going to take longer. Like I thought we were going to be here for 3-4 years talking about Man City's charges. The fact that it's next year is good news in terms of like the trial and stuff. Next we can wait a year. Like it's okay. They've been cheating 12 years, so one more year ain't gonna affect our life like that. So we can wait one more year, and in terms of the results of the trial coming on at the end of the season, look, if they want to take their time and go through details and have the judge and the jury and all this just kind of do extra work to get to the perfect kind of real answers, then I have no problem with that. And for me, look, it's just I've always been reasonable with this whole situation. I've been someone who's used logic and reasoning and not my own like motives. I've explained it, being someone from the region, and I've explained it using logic, if you would like. And I look, at the end of the day, for me personally, just as me as Hussam, if they're found innocent, they're still guilty in my eyes. So I'm not awaiting like I'm not awaiting the court for me to make my mind up. Like it's just it's just I think they're guilty, to be honest with you, and I hope they're found guilty, and I hope they're stripped of their titles, and I hope the perfect punishment is in place. And I said this on last week's Straight Facts show. I said the fact that Everton got a 10 points deduction over one charge now sets a bad precedence for them, because everyone's going to be like, okay, so even if they're found guilty, let's say of 10 charges out of the 115, if they're found guilty of the 10 charges, 5 charges, whatever it is, then we also expect just as much harsh punishments. And what you said last week is 100% right. With Everton, it's like essentially they got it wrong in terms of transfers, they got it wrong in terms of like results on the pitch, and they paid the price. But with Manchester City, if they're found guilty of cheating, that's 100% worse than getting it wrong and not getting results based on your spending. So yeah, that for me is the main thing, because they've set the precedent now. 10 points deduction for one charge like that. So we expect a lot worse for Manchester City if they're found guilty.
Look, I think it's an intro. I'm glad a date's been set as well. It is still a way away, but that's because some City fans use this as a defense of, the media only knows a small percentage of what's going on. And I think they're right. I think there is far more that's going to come out in this case. I think there's far more allegations than we have any idea of. So I think that what we've seen via those leaked emails into the media, I think and again, I've read this in other articles because journalists haven't been shown anything, but they've been told by people that is tip of the iceberg. I found this really interesting thread today that was put out by the Swedish Ramble, who are really, I mean, this guy's a Man United fan, so there is a bit of bias there, and I will admit that. But it's a really detailed look at what's going on. And there's a really great question that he asks here, and I'm not going to read out his whole tweet because this tweet is long. But he sits there and goes, why will City's case be decided so long after Everton's case? It's easy. Man City have delayed the Premier League's investigation with pure stalling tactics, resulting in the investigation that started in 2018 couldn't really proceed before July 2021. So just in those sort of 3 years, and they show a graphic from the Athletic of the ways that City delayed the investigation, let alone the outcome of that. He goes on to say, as below, an excellent summary details, doesn't even include the latest claim that the head of the panel to try City's case, that they're calling it impartial. And it goes on and explains all these things that City are doing to try and prolong the case. And then the question is, so what's City's chances of winning this and why are they delaying it? And he says, One of the reasons is they're waiting for the landscape to change. He says, for instance, if somebody told me the current Premier League rulebook in the relevant sections may have been withdrawn to have Man City expelled, I wouldn't proceed. The Premier League doesn't have to prove anything beyond reasonable doubt. The lowest possible evidence standard applies instead. So they don't have to, beyond reasonable doubt, prove these things. If there's a small shred of evidence, they could be found guilty. What they're saying the Premier League are trying to do, the City obviously trying to cost them money and they're trying to delay things and they're trying to work on their case. He's also stating that they're doing it in hope that the landscape changes and new rules potentially get voted in, which remove some of these charges for them. And then Simon Jordan called it out today. And what I find so interesting is that Simon Jordan called it out and said, if you have irrefutable, cast iron, 100% evidence that you are innocent and you have no fear of this trial, why do you continue to delay it? Why do you continue to kick the can down the street? Why do you continue to try and have it thrown out? Why don't you just embarrass the Premier League, turn up and show them that every transaction is legitimate? You've never broken any rules. If you have what City claim is irrefutable evidence that you are innocent. So, for instance, if I was arrested today for stealing a car at 3 p.m., but I had CCTV footage and CCTV footage in 4K of me 50 miles away at 3 p.m., I wouldn't even be charged by the police because I have irrefutable evidence and an alibi that I'd be able to provide to them and say, that is me at this location. Check my phone records. That, I must have texted at that time or tweeted or something, and you'd pick me up on the mask. I was not where I'm accused of being. That is irrefutable evidence. So again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not professing to be. I'm just putting it out that there are some really detailed explanations as to what City's delay tactics. My question is, if you're so innocent, why would you do that? I cannot, and there could be a good explanation, but I haven't heard one yet that makes me go, you know what? That's a really good point. The only reason I think you're delaying is to cost the Premier League money, to try and fatigue them, and looking for the landscape to change as an example, or maybe waiting for this to go away. And I don't think it is. So it's really interesting to see how this is going to pan out. It really, really is.
The thing is, if City are innocent, as City fans make out, unless it's City fans, I'll be honest with you, like 60 to 70% of the City fans I met are just all robotic, to be honest with you. Just a bunch of robots. It's just like they regurgitate all the same shit. And for me, look, if they're innocent, as you just said, come check my information and stuff, and you'll see that I'm innocent. Simple. Like, essentially, just come out and go like, this is irrefutable evidence, as you said, that all these money transactions are 100% legitimate, and let's just rock and roll. But instead, they keep postponing it and postponing it and postponing it. Maybe a couple of more charges will be more time barred or something like that. I don't know what. There might be even ulterior motives to all this. So for me, I think with Manchester City, look, anyone with any logic, sound reasoning, deep down, if we switch off the cameras, if we just speak, sensibly, to each other, we just go like, listen, we all know they're guilty. Let's just cut the crap here. The way the foundation, how it all started, that what happened after that, them making money during COVID, like it's just all of these things.
Well, and this is the thing. There's a comment here that says, Terry, the burden of proof is on the Premier League, not City. And I think that's an interpretation, but it's fair. Let's just say you're right. So if the burden of proof is on the Premier League and City say they've got irrefutable evidence, why are City spending enormous amounts of money to prevent the hearing from happening? I personally, if I was on a hearing that I could categorically prove my innocence in, I'd want it to go ahead. I would want to embarrass you. Trying to get it cancelled by continually saying that the QCs that you're employing are not partial, are not impartial. And by the way, you're never going to be able to find someone they're happy with in England, because they're always going to support a team that you could find a connection to hating. He's a Lincoln fan. We knocked them out of the League Cup in 1992. He can't be on the board. So and plus as well, when you say the burden of proof is on the Premier League, not according to this statement here that I read earlier on today from a business lawyer who wrote this. He says, if the Premier League can show an email that suggests something, it is upon Manchester City to prove that they are innocent, not the Premier League to prove their guilt. They just need to show evidence. So the Premier League do not need to prove beyond reasonable doubt that City have broken these rules. They only have to provide evidence they've done it, and City have to prove or disprove that evidence. So It's not, you don't need burden. This isn't a criminal case. And I'm only repeating here what other lawyers are saying. So it's very, very interesting. This here super chat says, my biggest reason for now wanting okay, we'll come back to the sin bins and something else a bit later on in the show. City and Chelsea need to prove their innocence. It's the Chelsea case, I think, so key. And I know some Chelsea and City fans are kind of like pairing up on this. I'm like, Chelsea, you guys are reporting yourselves. If Chelsea hold their hands up and admit to all this stuff and set precedents, that could be bad news for City. It is what it is. Tony here says City have something to hide, hence the delays.
The Terry example, by the way, like if you just measure it, the analogy, the real life analogy compared to real life. Let's say, like if I get charged, you know, with aggravated battery, like I beat someone up at 3 p.m. UK time on a Friday, and I have literal irrefutable evidence, like, yo, I was actually on fucking YouTube at 3 p.m. UK. So unless I beat up my camera, it's irrefutable evidence, right? If you have irrefutable evidence, why don't you just show the evidence? This is why I'm inclined to agree with what Tony's saying and with what Terry said earlier on. Many people are saying, if you don't have nothing to hide, why don't you just go through the legal proceedings and just keep it stepping?
I had this conversation with a City fan not long ago, and it was a private conversation. So I won't reveal who the person was, but he said to me that the lawyers of Man City advised the club to not cooperate. Now, he said that's what the lawyers said, and I'm like, why did they say that? And his response, and I might get this, I don't remember it fully, but it was along the lines of, well, it's what they were legally advised to do, so that's what they did. But for me, it's a case of, I don't understand. If you're accused of any crime, if you're accused of cheating, if you're accused of fraud, if you're accused of just breaking rules and laws, and to prove your innocence, they want access to the evidence. Why would you say no if you're innocent? In any walk of life, unless you've got other things you're hiding, mate. I understand, by the way, if the police say, can we come and search your house? We think you have drugs in there, but you don't, but you've got guns that are hid. You're not going to let the police in without a warrant because they'll find the guns and you'll still get in trouble. But if you've got nothing illegal in your house, I know that some people say, someone might plant something or whatever else, but listen, with the way that police are all cameraed up these days, would that even be possible? I don't know. But the point is, you'd let them in. You wouldn't turn around to the police and go, well, I'm not going to show you the CCTV. You're just going to have to believe me that I'm innocent. Yeah. You'd show them the CCTV. So that, again, and maybe I'm being...
If you say you have irrefutable evidence, show it. Simple.
Yeah.
Show it to the world.
I
because
agree.
We all read the damn emails. Everyone read the emails. Simple. We all read the emails. We all saw the emails.
Kaz here says, used to dislike Kassam, but now he's grown
on me.
Let
me tell you exactly when you disliked me and when I grew on you. And I could tell by your profile picture when it happened. Because during the entire summer, I was saying Liverpool are a more attractive club to go to than Arsenal. And then at the end of the summer, I said Arsenal are going to win the league. And that's when I became friends with the Arsenal fan. So I know exactly when you turned.
Your Arsenal fans used to hate me. And now I think their team's good and they love me. Treble winners, deal with it. Listen, you are treble winners. And I'm different to Hassam, though. If you're proven innocent, I'll believe it.
I won't.
I will. Again, for me, though, it's proven innocent in the sense of it. If I see the evidence that all these things are false accusations and they can prove and they can categorically prove that they did things right, then I will believe them. Of course I will. I can't not. But I'm so intrigued by this case. Plastic treble, 115 equals guilty until proven innocent. No, they are innocent until proven guilty.
Facts,
that's where me and Hassan disagree. They are innocent until proven guilty. That's why they're still able to compete. And honestly, this trial is going to be amazing. It's not going to be, but I want them to like O.J. Simpson this and televise it. Like,
yes, I wish I was about to say, I wish they televise it. You know, I really do. I wish they televise. We need this televised. We need some proof. We need some evidence. I want to see it. At the end of the day, the reason they're postponing it is get something to hide. Full stop. And if you're innocent, just cooperate, show the evidence, and the whole world will say you're innocent. But yeah, we all know City are guilty anyway. So.
Terry, guilty until proven innocent and beyond reasonable doubt are court terms, has no bearing on a private independent arbitration. I'm just reading out what other people have said and done, and maybe the language isn't correct. We're football fans here talking, but our questions, I think what we can do sometimes, Lewis, is I know we live in the era of people sometimes take you by exactly the words you use as opposed to taking you on what you mean. So, of course, general everyday fans are going to say things that maybe isn't quite the right terminology, but you know what we mean, you know what we're implying. So I think we can just be grown up and kind of look beyond that, I personally think and feel.